Welcome to Fast Effect. We're jumping right in here. Double speed magic. We are already seeing a couple of Noble Hierarchs and a Mother of Runes alongside a Aether Vial. And we have an Exhume returning Gristlebrand and a Sanctum Prelate. Thankfully not a Palace Jailer. But Ben's hand likely going to be protected from most of the discard. Now Unmask probably still going to get there. I'm assuming that's a 1 on the Sanctum Prelate. That's going to stop Dark Ritual, Thoughtseize, Faithless Looting, Entomb, Reanimate. So many cards. Oh, interesting. Maybe he named... Well, Karakas is coming down and bouncing Gristlebrand, and that is very, very bad news, as these humans are still very much geared up for war, and there's a Thalia's Lieutenant spreading some +1/+1 counters around. Exalted triggers. Got to make a significant impact. And Reanimator losing game 1 thanks to the power of Karakas there. Now, that's something you'd see sometimes with Death and Taxes. Death and Taxes actually is favored versus Reanimator. It is shocking unless you actually play the matchup. It is very difficult to believe. Seems like Reanimator is a deck that just like wins on the first turn, but it doesn't. It just creates an overwhelming advantage, and Death and Taxes can actually undo that pretty easily. They can top deck a Swords to Plowshares. They have access to Karakas, whether or not it's in their hand or not. If it's in their hand, you can't really get it out of their hand. If they draw it for turn, of course, there's nothing you can do to prevent it. So Death and Taxes traditionally very well positioned versus Black-Red Reanimator, despite Reanimator being thought of as a turn 1 deck. The reality is it doesn't usually win the game on the first turn. It usually gets out a Gristlebrand, which in people's minds is like, well, I lose, but it's Death and Taxes. It's not really smart enough to know that it should be losing. It just wins anyways. You got Karakas, you just get rid of the Gristlebrand, no big deal. So probably the only card that's like there's no cards that are really not able to be handled by Karakas in that situation. Even something like an Elish Norn that could come down and just wipe out any hope of victory can just be answered. So your non-legendary creatures are actually super relevant when we're talking about Death and Taxes, and it looks like for humans here, we're also going to have to be concerned about Karakas, as he's going to have, at least one copy, probably several, as the card is going to give the necessary white mana for so many of these creatures, but also has great synergy with protecting Thalia and answering opposing legendary creatures. Just picking up Thalia and putting her back down in humans can be devastating. You're able to put her out with Aether Vials during the end step. I mean, there's a lot of extra value to be gained from the land with not a whole lot of drawback. It's really just the issue of having them in multiples. And, of course, the Rickless humans, a little nod to the fact that Rick will be joining this lineup sometime next year. We'll see when they actually start shipping. But the Walking Dead Rick probably going to be good enough to play as 1 or 2 copies in this particular Legacy deck. Now we've got a Ritual Entomb, Animate Dead for Gristlebrand, and it's going to be time to draw a bunch of cards. And Brandon's going to see if he can actually create a board state that's going to be unwinnable for Ben, who's done quite well with humans. And it looks like Unmask going to target himself to grab a Grave Titan. And now an additional Dark Ritual for another Animate. And this is probably a strong enough start. We're going to get some zombies. That Death Touch on the Titan going to be pretty difficult to deal with. And these 2/2 zombies are going to get very, very wide. Even if the 2 larger threats are handled, it's likely that Brandon's going to have at least 8 power worth of zombies left, which can easily wrap up a game on their own. So this is pretty bad. Ben thinking this through, seeing what might actually be possible, and decides to just move on to the next game. They have plenty of time in the round, so no real harm in playing that one out, but Ben not even interested in trying to have anything come out of that. Nearly dead just from what's on board. There's going to be 16 damage coming in, And that's a heck of a first turn here for Reanimator. But now Ben is going to have the play. They'll have the ability to get some type of artifact down if he does play them. And it's really a question about the best way to attack Reanimator. You can go with cards that are a little bit faster, like Fairy Macabre and Surgical Extraction. Those can be played on your opponent's turn before you're able to even do anything else. However, if you're talking about Grafdigger's Cage and Tormod's Crypt, those can come down on the play and at least avoid getting stripped out of your hand by Cabal Therapy, Duress, and Thoughtseize or Unmask, where you can just end up in a terrible spot where you had the answer and they just brush it aside and win anyways. At least a Tormod's or a Grafdigger's Cage or similar card can hit the board. And then, of course, they can have answers for those, and the metagaming goes on and on. But really depends on often the other synergy that might be involved with your deck. So, for example, if you had a card like Sword of Light and Shadow in your deck, maybe you like Fairy Macabre more because you can bring it back with that sword. If you've got card drawing, cards like Surgical probably go up in value in my estimation, as if your opponent duresses you and you've got some card drawing left, even if they have taken your counter spells, then you can still potentially brainstorm into a game-saving card. We've got Cavern of Souls for humans into a Champion of the Parish, an aggressive start, but Ben probably doesn't need aggression so much as, whoa, what is happening? A Kitesail Freebooter, and it looks like Brandon had to mulligan down low enough that he passed the turn without a play. And now the Freebooter is going to take Assassin's Trophy. And this looks like just Reanimator fumbling. It is surprising. You see much less of it now, given the amount of power that the London Mulligan has brought to the combo decks. A deck like Reanimator can potentially have a hand of 4, like just Land, Dark Ritual, Entomb, Exhume, and just be in phenomenal shape. I would not be shy about going to 4 with Reanimator. Those other 3 cards are often irrelevant, and the card advantage can be recouped. So Freebooter, now Containment Priest on top of it, and this is looking absolutely terrible for Brandon. It looks like Humans is just going to get there with a little ragtag band of Humans. They get a little bit of help, and that's going to do it. Humans takes down a very, very interesting matchup. I'm telling you, Death and Taxes is actually favored versus Reanimator. Doesn't seem like that would be the case, but it looks like it shares enough DNA with Humans that Humans may be favored as well. That is all for this one, but don't worry, there is a lot more. You can check out our older videos, and we're always putting out new videos from ELD's Time Vault Games in Bellingham, Massachusetts. If you want to help the channel, of course, you can like, subscribe, share, tap that notification bell so you can know the next time our new videos come out. Thanks for watching.